I started telling them something in the morning. You know, you may not understand what it means to carry God. So you can carry God and still be struggling. And you will leave God and go and meet your uncle and say, help me. Because you don't know the meaning of carrying God. You know, oh my God. May God help us this evening. If you know who you are, you will stand up and tell yourself that the deliverance of Delta State has come. Because it said Philip went to Samaria. He preached Christ there, and the city was full of joy. One man took a city. One man. Because he knows who he is. What does it mean to carry God? I want to teach you about who the overcomer is. That's the foundation I'm trying to build. So when you look at yourself the next time, you will know that the mirror is the poorest equipment to define you. Because the only constitution that the mirror sees is the casing. Meanwhile, your heart can host eternity. He said he has put eternity in their hearts. There is no mirror that can capture it. So you will not evaluate yourself by what the mirror shows you. And you will not evaluate yourself by what anybody tells you. You know, if you know yourself and you begin to talk, people will say you are proud. The problem is they've not evaluated you correctly. You may be a harlot for 10 years, but they don't know you. They don't know that this person called a harlot, in the days of our encounter, she will become the mother of Jesus. You are God Most High. You are Jesus Christ.
Elion in Israel.
Elion.
Elion.
You are
God Most High. You are Jesus Christ. Elion of Israel.
What does it mean to carry God? I told them in the morning that until man was created, God had nothing to dwell in. Because God is not living in heaven. You know, okay, for the benefit of those who were not here in the morning, the Bible said in 1 Timothy chapter 6 verse 16 that with him is immortality, and that he dwells in light that is unapproachable. So I told them, and 1 John also made it clear that God is light. So God is light and he dwells in light. So where God dwells in him is in himself. Because he is bigger than eternity. The Bible said heaven is his throne, the earth is his footstool. So when God stands in heaven, where will be heaven? So I told you, what God decided to do was to clothe himself with crystals. And I said what crystals do is to refract. The technology of refraction is such that when light enters, it bends to another direction. That's why when you wear a diamond chain or a diamond ring, at night it reflects. Light can hit it from here. The diamond will turn the light and channel the light in another direction. So you can be standing in dark, but you'll be seeing the light glittering. What the diamond is doing is refracting the light. So God covered himself with jasper and sardine. These are crystals. Is that crystal that emits God and transmits God into his throne in heaven. So when the angels see him on the throne, it's actually a dimension of God they see. And that's why forever and ever, the 24 elders, every time they see him, they say holy. Because they keep seeing different dimensions every moment in the spirit. So heaven can't contain him. In 1 Kings chapter 8 verse 27, Solomon began to pray because he had built a temple. But after building the temple, the spirit of wisdom and revelation began to speak to him. And he said, but will God indeed dwell on earth? He said, behold the heaven and heaven of heavens cannot contain thee, how much less this house that I have built? So the spirit of wisdom told Solomon that God is not in heaven. Only dimensions of God comes into heaven, and that was the assignment of Lucifer. If you study, the patriarchs of old understood the mystery of the presence. So if you go to Jerusalem today, the east gate is always locked, because the east gate is where God comes through to his tabernacle. In Ezekiel 44 from verse 1 and 2, it tells you God enters the tabernacle through the east gate. So the east gate is always locked. Only Yahweh enters through the east gate, and every time Yahweh shows up, the job of the one that is clothed with tabret is to cry, Yahweh cometh, and the whole heaven begins to worship. So heaven could not contain him, neither could earth contain him. So he looked for where he will stay. How can he make his abode on earth? What can trap him? Nothing was found. So he went to begin a project called man. And it took God aeons to create man. Aeons. Aeons. The Bible said the divine communed one with another. And the Father spoke to the Logos. The Logos spoke to the Spirit. And the Spirit spoke to the Father. They kept communing. An abode for ourselves, and that intercourse continued until it exploded, and he said, let us make man. So that was a proclamation that emanated from koinonia, when divinity communed with itself, because God that looked as if he was stranded. I want to dwell in something, but eternity cannot contain me. I have tried. When I go to heaven, I can only sit. Heaven can't take my dimensions. The first earth that was created, I sent Lucifer there to be the governor, and even the earth can't contain Lucifer. Where then is the place of my abode? Where is the place of my dwelling? So the community of the Godhead came together, and they kept communing, thinking and strategizing, troubleshooting to host God. And after deep koinonia, the Father exploded and said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion. So the project of man is actually God's strategy to have an abode. But the devil knew, because the devil knew that any creature that can host God becomes the God of the universe. Because in heaven, he knows that the fullness of God is not there. When God shows up on the throne, every being worship God. So he said in his heart, in Isaiah 14 verse 12 to 14, I will ascend to heaven. Because he was the governor of the earth before it was destroyed. He said, I will ascend to heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, above the clouds of the congregation. I will be like the Most High. But God cast him away. So the devil knows any creature that can host God will rule over him. So when he discerned it, and he knew that the project was Adam, he came into the garden, because he knows what to do to create rebellion, and God will reject you even if God loves you. Because when he fell from Zion, God himself cried. He said, oh Lucifer, how art thou fallen? Because God loved him so much. So he knows that love is not a factor when a man rebels against God. Any creature that rebels against God, no matter how God loves him, God will reject him. So he came and taught the man the way of rebellion, because he knows that the moment the man hosts God, the man will rule over him. So what does it mean to bear or to carry God? It means you have become a God. And gods don't fall sick. Gods don't beg. Gods don't lack. Gods don't know any deceit. Gods, they sustain anything that comes to their hand. If you say, ye are gods, Matthew 10:34, unto whom the word of the Lord came, and the scriptures cannot be broken. The idea was to make man a god, but the man did not understand. He went to eat fruit to become like God. Don't you know you are already like unto him? You come into rest when you find yourself in God.